So, I want to welcome us. I welcome Reverend Dr. Paul Oyedokun. Thank you, sir. You have been here since we've started, even before we started. So I welcome our resource person. I've talked about you previously, but since we are just starting recording, I will not have to go over the details I've mentioned before now because of our time. I know we're supposed to start by 10 and we have a little delay. So we are hoping that many of our people who have the invite will join us very soon. And we are going to have a very enriching interactive sessions together. So this event is going to be for a duration of 120 minutes. That's 2 hours. All things being equal, we hope the network will not disturb us. We hope we are going to have everything as planned by God's grace. So it's possible we exceed that time, but I pray we will be able to manage our time because we are already behind the scheduled time. So, and in that 2 hours duration, we are going to be having the program in 3 parts. So the first part is going to be emphasis on the book, and that book is the book authored by our resource person, and the book is titled History and Practice of Bi-vocational Pastoral Ministry in the Nigerian Baptist Convention, 1850 to 2025. So, and the second part is going to be on engaging our resource person on areas of contemporary issues in the practice of bi-vocational pastoral ministry in the Nigerian Baptist Convention. And I'll be the one that will do that for a few minutes. And I will be engaging our resource person on some areas that are referenced in the book that he has authored. Then we are going to have the session that will involve all having all of us contributing. We are going to be having all of us participating in the interactive session. It's going to be an open forum. We are going to also engage our resource person in some areas that are of interest to us. We are going to ask questions if you have questions to ask. And we are going to also share our opinion, things that can be resourceful to all of us on this platform, so that we all go from this program well enriched and enlightened, better than when we joined. So this is what we are having in mind as God is leading us. And I want to believe that it's going to be a very fruitful engagement today by God's grace. So once again, I welcome those of us that are already online with us on this platform, and I welcome our resource person. It is like I should talk about the resource person again, but I'm just so conscious of the time because we have a long things to look into in this matter. And so maybe by the time we are rounding off and we still have much time, I can come back to talk about the profile of our resource person. So we're going to start, and just like I said, it is being recorded and it's a video recording. Our eyes are showing, our voice will be heard, and so I'm saying that so that we can have that consciousness, and so that we can be well We are going to be very down to heart. We are going to ask sincere questions, and it is out of common interest. This matter before us is a matter that is of interest to those of us that are here and those of us that will watch it later or that will join us before we round off in this program. So it's something that is of interest even to our denomination. It's something that is of interest to the expansion of the kingdom of God through the Baptist mission in Nigeria. And we are all agents of that. We are all ministers by the grace of God. So, and we know some people we also watch who are not pastors, who are not, in quote, ministers officially like that, but they may soon become ministers in the Baptist church. So this will be a moment of enlightenment, a moment of information, a moment of direction, a moment of transformation, a moment where some things will happen to some persons on this matter. And so we should not take it as if we are just doing an ordinary thing. As God is leading, God is the one that put his extra on ordinary thing and make it extraordinary. So let's be conscious and let God lead us in our thoughts, in our expression, and what we are going to do. God will help us in Jesus' name. So as we are starting, I'm going to start with the first part, which is on emphasis on the book. And just like I've informed our resource person earlier, I've told you previously that I'm going to ask some questions, and I want you to be ready. Those questions are not agitations. Those questions are not my own question alone. There are some of my questions there, but there are some questions that come from interaction with some of the people that are concerned on this matter, even though some of them are not yet with us, but these are things that have been ongoing. This is a discussion that is ongoing in our denomination. So once again, the title of the book is the title of the book is History and Practice of Bi-vocational Pastoral Ministry in the Nigerian Baptist Convention, 18, sorry, I'm looking at where I wrote it. 1850 to 2025, if I'm correct. So, sir, I want to welcome you, our resource person. Can you please receive our welcome, sir?
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure being here.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure being here. Yeah,
I want us to mute. Sir, we'd like you to project your voice, sir, because we want it to be loud for some of us that will listen to it after now. So, we welcome you, sir. So,
thank you so
on the
much.
book, sir, let me start by asking you, what made you realize the need to write the book?
Yeah, thank you for the question. That's the reason for writing the book. Actually, the story of writing the book started in that's about 4 years ago, 3 years ago. That should be 2023, when I was to write my dissertation for my doctoral program in the seminary. And at the very onset, my mind wasn't towards this topic. I was focusing on another thing. I was trying to look at eternal security of believer and then do a kind of historical analysis of it. But along the line, in one of our seminar, the seminar is on contemporary issues in historical perspective. Then one of the topics that was listed by a professor has to do with Bi-vocational Pastoral Ministry. Then I just decided to pick it and then write a seminar paper on it. And then that one actually involved library work, and then some field research. In searching through the library, I discovered that there wasn't any textbook per se as it has to do with this topic in the Nigerian Baptist Convention. That firstly bring up a consciousness in me that this matter is one. In the course of writing the seminar paper, I needed to attend the annual Bi-vocational Pastoral Ministry workshop that is being hosted by the seminary. And then during the planetary section, it's a discussion between the bivocational ministers and then the full-time minister. When I saw the argument, when I saw the pressure and then the tension, then a consciousness just rose up in me that there is need to work on this particular thing. It's an issue. And if care is not taken, there's going to degenerate into things that we will not like in our convention. So in the course of probing, I discovered that it has become an issue and is an ongoing discussion in our convention. So that leads me to eventually settle for that topic for my dissertation. And when I finished the defense of the dissertation, there was a kind of a request that this work, and even from my own mind also, I discovered that this work, because the dissertation is 362 page work. It's a 362 page work. And I said, this thing cannot remain on the shelf of this book and do more field work before eventually release the book to the public for reading.
Thank you. I like the background and how God has used that experience to push this resourceful material forward. And it's a very, very timely reference material on this matter, because some of us have actually searched the seminary library when we are there looking for materials in this regard. We can only gather some scanty information, and majority of what we had are oral tradition or oral information, this and that, looking at some of the materials on it, little here, little there from the convention materials and so on. But your book is actually timely and highly resourceful, and actually is feeding the interest of some of us, and that's why we are doing what we are doing at this moment on this book. And we know that God has a plan beyond even this little thing we are doing. So we want to appreciate God for giving you the enablement and the grace to be able to put that together. So can you summarize the major emphasis of the book from the first chapter to the last chapter? I want you to do that within few minutes, as few as possible, sir. So some of the emphasis that you want to make on each chapter, it may not cover the chapter. There are some chapters that there may not be any emphasis on it because of the content.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much. The book is 18 chapters. It has 18 chapters, and then it actually begins with the general concept of bivocational pastoral ministry, looking at bivocational pastoral ministry beyond the Baptist denomination. And then in that chapter, I try to look at what scholar says and then eventually draw out my own understanding as regards that. Now, in the general concept of bivocational pastoral ministry, few things stand out. scholars agree that bivocational ministers are people that are into two vocations, one being a pastoral ministry, and on the other vocation, that is where some scholars differ. Some says the other vocation, in addition to the pastoral ministry, could be a non-church job, while others say no, it can still be a professional pastoral ministry, maybe working in an institution, theological institution, religious institution, and so on like that. Why some said no, the primary work of the bivocational minister that he acts or she acts pastoral ministry through must be non-church job. So that's the general understanding. And then it also differs on the remuneration. Some say it could be a complete volunteer work. Some said that the person could also be paid from the two vocation or from the non-job vocation, non-job vocation, that such an individual could be paid. I don't know, maybe you are getting me.
We are hearing you. I'm listening.
Then the second chapter looks at the understanding of pastoral ministry, bivocational pastoral ministry in the Nigerian Baptist Convention. And then from there I discussed.
Like to see your face very well.
Okay. From there I discussed.
Thank you. It's okay like that. Yeah.
Two concepts of bivocational pastoral ministry in the Nigerian Baptist Convention. That's the 2005 concept and then the 2015 concept. The 2005 concept is just like in the Nigerian Baptist Convention then, bivocational ministers is full-time ministers doing part-time work. Either the part-time work can either be in non-church or non-church job, could be non-church job, or it could also be another professional pastoral ministry. Then the 2015 concept has to do with that a bivocational minister is a person in other employment, but that has received a ministerial call and that has gone for training. In that wise, that's talking about the individual must have the primary employment of such an individual must be other employment, which is simply interpreted non-church job. Although in the book I try to look at that, the other employment is open-ended, and that has created a lot of issues as touching that definition. But three things: the person the individual must ask a non-church job, receive ministerial call, attend theological institution for training, then participate in pastoral ministry in the Nigerian Baptist Convention. And in chapter 3, I try to just look at pastoral ministry in the Nigerian Baptist Convention generally. Then chapter 4, the brief historical background of the Nigerian Baptist Convention. Then the chapter 5, that is where I look at the pre-golden era of bivocational pastoral ministry in the Nigerian Baptist Convention. Now, how did I arrive at golden era, pre-golden era? I used 1992 when bivocational pastoral ministry was officially approved and recognized as a mode of pastoral ministry in the Nigerian Baptist Convention. I call that year, 1992, golden year for bivocational pastoral ministry in the Nigerian Baptist Convention. So events that happens before 1992, starting from 1850 to 1991 or 1992, before the approval, because the approval was in April. Before April, I called them events that has to do with pre-golden era of bivocational pastoral ministry. That's where I discussed agitations of the 1970s, 1980s, and then the 1990s, seeking for the approval of bivocational pastoral ministry as a mode of bivocational pastoral ministry in the Nigerian Baptist Convention. There, I also traced some historical incidents, events that precipitated the 1992 approval of bivocational pastoral ministry as a recognized mode of pastoral ministry in the Nigerian Baptist Convention. There, I tried to look at the issue of the combination, the composition of APES leadership at that particular point in time. The General Secretary then was Reverend Dr. Esola Fadeji, and then the President of the Convention then was Reverend Dr. C.T.T. George. And Reverend Dr. C.T.T. George happened to be an ardent practitioner of bivocational pastoral ministry. So I perceive that might have persuaded the convention to think towards the approval of bivocational pastoral ministry in the Nigerian Baptist Convention. I also trace some other historical events in that place. Then I look at the golden era of the bivocational pastoral ministry in the Nigerian Baptist Convention, the 1992. And in that place, I try to look at what happened at Ilorin Convention, the 79th annual convention in session at Ilorin, where the ministerial committee, the ministerial board of the Nigerian Baptist Convention says, we have looked at our brothers that are in other employment. They have been working with us, but yet we have not recognized them as full, we have not given them authority to participate in full ministerial responsibility of the convention. So we present it to you as convention in session, that let them be allowed to be given full recognition as pastors in the Nigerian Baptist Convention, so that they can fully participate in pastoral responsibility in the convention. So they approved that one, and they set up a committee. The committee headed by Reverend Professor P.H. Miller, and it has other 6 members draw from different angles. And I tried to, in the book, I tried to look at what was the weakness of that committee. Then in that golden era also, I tried to look at, it was then that the Nigerian Baptist Convention also commissioned the Nigerian Baptist Theological Seminary to begin training program for to begin training program that will equip these the bivocational ministers, people that are receiving call into bivocational ministry, to equip them so that they can be best equipped for the pastoral ministry in our convention. That's when they started the sandwich program in 1993 stroke 1994 academic section in the seminary. And I look at the first set of people that were admitted, and then the one that stood out among them is Reverend Professor Dejaye Gboyin, who eventually rose to become the 4th indigenous president of the Nigerian Baptist Theological Seminary, Ogbomoso, from 2018 to 2023. Then from 2018 to 2021 rather. Then the next chapter has to do with the development, the post-1992 development in bivocational pastoral ministry in the Nigerian Baptist Convention. There I look at then increased in the number of practitioners, then we have more acceptability of bivocational ministers among our churches in the Nigerian Baptist Convention. Then I also look at the annual program that the seminary is organizing. Then I also look at some of the challenges that has precipitated that the ministry is witnessing after that 1992 approval. And then the next chapter has to do with the forebears of bivocational pastoral ministry in the Nigerian Baptist Convention. There have been people that have been practicing bivocational pastoral ministry in the Nigerian Baptist Convention. And there I try to look at people like the first indigenous Baptist minister in the Nigerian Baptist Convention, Reverend Moses Ladejo Stone. Then I look at the first indigenous General Secretary of the Nigerian Baptist Convention, that's Reverend Dr. Ayonide. Then people like Reverend Fadipe also, people like Baba Kingbala, people like Reverend Agbola, people like Reverend Lafihan, that was instrumental to the planting of First Baptist, Trinity Baptist Church in Awe. Then I also look at the categorization. That's chapter 9. Categorization of bivocational pastoral ministry of the Nigerian Baptist Convention. Then chapter 10 has to do with the Nigerian Baptist Convention policies on bivocational pastoral ministry. There I try to isolate and then analyze the policies on bivocational pastoral ministry in the Nigerian Baptist Convention. Then chapter 11 focused challenges of bivocational pastoral ministry in the Nigerian Baptist Convention. Then I look at that one in twofold. What are the challenges that bivocational pastoral ministry is posing to the Nigerian Baptist Convention? Then the second one has to do with what are the challenges that bivocational ministers are experiencing in the Nigerian Baptist Convention. Then chapter 12 is on contributions of bivocational pastoral ministry to the Nigerian Baptist Convention. There I discussed extensively. Then chapter 13 focuses on contemporary issue in bivocational pastoral ministry of the Nigerian Baptist Convention. That's where I discuss bivocational ministers that are church planters. There I discussed the current economic reality in globally. There I discussed the issue that has to do with churches that have the plateau churches that cannot grow beyond their size as a result of the location where they are and then the nature. Then that is where I discussed that one. And then in chapter 14, I look at evaluation of the goals and historical development of bivocational pastoral ministry, the Nigerian Baptist Convention. And I discussed in that place from the historical analysis, from field survey, I came up with the submission that bivocational pastoral ministry in the Nigerian Baptist Convention, if we put it side by side with the goals of putting it on, it has succeeded. It's performing and is fulfilling those goals. Then chapter 15 centers on assessment of the policies and practice of bivocational pastoral ministry of the Nigerian Baptist Convention. Then chapter 17 is on assessment of categories of bivocational pastoral ministry in the Nigerian Baptist Convention. Then chapter 17 has to do with contemporary practitioners of bivocational pastoral ministry in the Nigerian Baptist Convention. We can't just continue castigating bivocational ministers. We have to appreciate them. And one of the ways to appreciate them is to talk about them. What has been their strength? What has been their weaknesses? What has been their contributions? And what has been their challenges? That is where I analyze, and I selected very few individuals in that to project in that chapter. Chapter 8 concludes, chapter 8, which is the last chapter of the book, is on prospect of bivocational pastoral ministry
there a network problem? We can no longer hear you, sir. Or is it only from my head? I can't hear him again.
No, I'm not hearing him again, too.
Can you hear him, sir?
I'm not hearing him again.
Hey, God, please, oh, this network. You will come back to join us. We hope you will come back to join us. We hope you will come back to join us. Well, if you can hear me, Reverend Ilufoye, on your second phone, because I could see your second phone is also listening. Please, we are no more hearing you. Can you please reconnect? Or probably you use this second phone that is connected so that we can manage the time. So we are no more hearing you. You are already disconnected. We want to think it is the network. So, but your second phone is connected. So if you can hear us on this platform, kindly switch to your second phone, sir. Because I can see your second phone is still connected. Yes. Yes. I wanted to say you may continue. You are still listening, sir. Please, you can reconnect. We are not hearing you. We are not seeing you. And we need you to reconnect back. We need you. Okay. I think you are coming up, sir. So, yes. Thank you. You may continue, please.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I want to believe the network.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Now, the chapter 18 has to do with
continue from where you stop, sir.
Chapter 18 has to do with the prospects, the future of Bi-vocational Pastoral Ministry in the Nigerian Baptist Convention. And there I propose that Bi-vocational Pastoral Ministry has come to stay in the Nigerian Baptist Convention. And in the actual sense, it will continue to gain more acceptability. But there are some things that we need to give attention to if my proposal is going to be accomplished. And there I gave about 8 recommendations, and that one addressed our convention leaders, the full-time ministers, the bi-vocational ministers, and our theological institutions. And I draw conclusion as it has to do with the book. So that's a run through of the book.
Okay. Thank you very much. In fact, you have just shown us that you are an academic. For you to be able to go the length and breadth of 18-chapter book within this short time. Thank you. And as you are mentioning those things, it was as if I'm reading the book all over again, because some of the things I've read, some of the things that we have seen on the pages of, you just mentioned them. So we appreciate that. As we're about to round off on that part, let me ask just two more questions, and they are simple questions. It won't take time like the previous ones. So, what is one specific message or takeaway you hope your readers carry with them long after finishing reading the final page of your book?
Number
I don't know
one,
if you hear
yes,
what I said.
Yes, I can hear you.
One specific message or takeaway. What is that one specific message or takeaway that you hope your readers carry with them long after reading?
Yes, I want all my readers to come to the realization that full-time ministry and bi-vocational pastoral ministry, they are acceptable mode of pastoral ministry in the Nigerian Baptist Convention, and that we are to work together so that the kingdom of God will expand here on earth. That individual of us have been called of God to certain responsibility. Can you hear me?
Yes, can you come again, please? Yes.
Okay. Now, I want readers to go away after reading the book, come to the realization that the two mode of ministry that we have in the Nigerian Baptist Convention now, that is the bi-vocational pastoral ministry and full-funded, or what we usually call full-time pastoral ministry. They are acceptable mode of bi-vocational pastoral ministry in the Nigerian Baptist Convention, and that all of us, we should work together so that the kingdom of our God can increase, can expand here on earth. We should start fighting, agitating over things there are some things that we don't need to just agitate about. Once we come to the realization that we are all working for God, and God is our master, and He gives individual responsibility as He wishes.
All right. Thank you for that. Now, finally, on the first part, which is emphasis on the book, I want to ask, is the book recommended to all members of the Nigerian Baptist Convention churches?
Yes. The book is for all the members of the Nigerian Baptist Convention, because all of us are involved. Whether church member, our leaders are at different levels, the bi-vocational pastors, the full-time pastors, we are all involved in this ministry. And one thing I discover is that the bi-vocational pastoral ministry, the challenges that that is confronting us is both the talk of on the pulpit and on the pews. So both our leaders and those even in the church member, everyone needs to read this book so that some misconceptions, some misunderstanding. There are so many things that bi-vocational pastoral ministry is not about in our convention, and it's being shared all about. There are so many things that we don't understand about the ministry, and we think that we actually understand it. It was when I was even researching that I come to discover a lot of, let me put it, misunderstanding, misconception, misgiving that is being spread both by the leaders and the followers, so that those things can be corrected, so that we can work with right understanding. Understanding is very important. The reason why we have some of these challenges is that we don't actually understand this ministry. So if everybody can go through the book, have the correct understanding, I tell you that we will have less of the challenges that we are coping with now.
So in short, you want everybody in all the local churches under the Nigerian Baptist Convention to get the book.
Yes.
To buy it,
yes,
and read it. That's what you want, sir.
Yes.
Can you please tell us
let me just
how we can get it? Some people will watch this video and they want to get the book. So can you give us a link, whether a phone number, WhatsApp number, or how can we get access to having the book?
Number one, the book is presently in the Nigerian Baptist Theological Seminary of Ogbomoso, the publishing unit there. The book is there. So anybody around Ogbomoso can get a copy there. Then the book also is in BCT Lagos, Baptist College of Theology, Lagos. The book is presently in that institution now. So people can get the book there. Then thirdly, the book is in few days or few weeks to this time, we have the book at Baptist College of Theology, Benin. So they can link up with the rector. The rector has the book. The rector of BCT Lagos also, that's the Reverend Dr. Ezekiel Ajibade. The book is with him. Then the book is also with me in Ogbomoso here. So if anybody wants to get across to me, and one thing I promise that once you communicate me, either through WhatsApp or phone call, that you need the book, once you give the details of your address, the book is going to reach you. I've dispersed so many like that. As far as Delta State, as far as Benin City, as far as Kaduna, we get the book across. As far as Abuja, we get across the book to you that place. Then the book is also presently in Cornerstone Baptist Church, Gwarimpa in Abuja FCT. The book is with Dickness Oluwaleke Odunayo. The book is presently with her. So I'm going to give the phone number of Dickness Oluwaleke Odunayo, so that people around that place can get across to her. And then the book also is presently in Lagos. It's at Peace Way Baptist Church, Ikotun, with Reverend Dr. Bimbo Ogundare. The book is also with him in that place. Then the book is also with Reverend Dr. Stanley Akoba. That's a Blessed Baptist Church in Sapele, Delta State. So the book is with him in that place. So I'll give my own number. I'll give Dr. Abimbola Ogundare's number, and I'm going to give my Dickness Oluwaleke's number. For the Abuja, that's Dickness Oluwaleke Odunayo. The phone number, and then which is both the phone number and then the WhatsApp number is 080 30 42 3474. 080 30 42 3474. And then my own number in Ogbomoso is 080 66 42 6820. 080 66 42 20. 08066426820. Then for Dr. Abimbola Ogundare in Peaceway Baptist Church, Ikotun, Lagos, is 081 65 14 5307. 081 65 145307. So,
all right. I want to appreciate you for that. So, yes, let's move on because of our time. So the second part, we're focusing on some contemporary issues in the practice of bi-vocational pastoral ministry in the Nigerian Baptist Convention. And we are going to pick some of our area of interest from the pages of the book. Of course, some of them are something we connect with, because some of us are practically affected by some of the issues, and so we can relate. So, like I said, some of the questions are coming from interactions among people of similar concerns, and there are some questions that are also coming from me too. So, but the intention is for us to be enlightened, to have a better understanding, and God has helped you to research in this thing. You have done some field surveys. You have looked at the books. You have looked at the records. You have checked a whole lot in the course of your research, and we believe that you have seen some of the things that are on record historically that some of us might not have seen, and we want to use this section of asking questions to elicit your responses from some of the resources that you have acquired in the course of the research and in the course of your writing the book. So the first question I have here is that, and I want to, I hope the network will not be a challenge here. And I'm praying so, because I like it to flow. Now, in a pastoral context, burning the bridge is a theological and practical tradition representing a definitive, irrevocable surrender to God's call. It signifies leaving behind secular careers. I'm talking about burning the bridge. It signifies leaving behind secular careers, financial security, and former identities without any backup plan, fully trusting God for provision and future direction. And that theology is a popular theology among us Baptists. In fact, I grew up without orientation. That's the orientation I grew up with. And that theology is rooted in the biblical narration, like the call of Elijah in the book of 1 Kings chapter 19, verse 19 to verse 21, where when Elijah called Elijah, he slaughtered the oxen, he used the wooden, what is it called now, to even cook it for the community, so that he would have no turning back to his previous work. So that concept of burning the bridge is something popular and is taught as a necessary separation from worldly entanglements to maintain the spiritual purity required for leadership and pastoral call. And the concept also emphasizes that pastoral call is not a part-time job. So I mentioned that because in your book, you mention burning the bridge as a popular theology among us, and it has its effect in the orientation of some people towards the bi-vocational pastoral ministry. So my question here is that in that popular context, especially in the Nigerian Baptist Convention, is it valid to say a call to bivocational pastoral ministry is as genuine and real as a call to full-time pastoral ministry? Do you get the question, sir?
Yes, I do.
Yes.
I do. Yeah,
I
thank
want
you
you
so
to
much.
be brief and go straight to the point because there are many questions. Yes.
It's okay. Thank you so much. For me, and from my study, full-time pastoral ministry call and bivocational pastoral ministry call, the two are genuine. And there is no one of them. Let me put it this way: that bivocational pastoral ministry call is not inferior in any way to full-time pastoral ministry call. The two are called by God, and I believe that we don't have inferior God. We only have one single God, the only true God that calls people, and He calls them as He pleases Him. He gives them assignment as He desires. And nobody, our God is sovereign. Nobody can query Him. Nobody can question Him. So questioning the call of God over an individual is like questioning the sovereignty of God. Questioning that this one is genuine, this one is inferior, this one is superior. It's like questioning the sovereignty of God. He's sovereign, he can do anything, he can call anybody. He can call in anybody to the kind of work, the kind of ministry that he wants to give unto such an individual. So for me, and from the Bible, because people that cited the issue of Elisha, they should have as well looked at the issue, the call of Paul. The two of them were called by God, but they were called to do different, even though they are called doing different dispensation. But they are called, and they are called to do, they are called and given different mode of assignment. And even in the Old Testament, there are people there that also worked not only as a bivocational, they work as multivocational. Amos, go and check the book of Amos. Amos is a multivocational prophet. And very soon we are trusting. I'm working on the second series of this book. The second series, that is where I look at the biblical perspective of and the second series I'm working on actually is not limited to the Nigerian Baptist Convention. It's handbook on bivocational pastoral ministry for Africa. I have Africa as the focus. There I look at the historical development of bivocational pastoral ministry, right from the early church to the medieval church to the Reformation church, and then to the modern church. I look at bivocational pastoral ministry call. I try to study that one as a concept. So there is no call that is not genuine. And as touching the issue of burning the bridge,
I agree.
Now, as touching the issue of burning the bridge, I wrote it in the book, and I'm still saying it. There is need for us to reconsider that theology. If God is not specifically calling you and say, don't do any other thing. If God said, don't do any other thing, that is simple. That is clear enough. But if God didn't say specifically and you say, anybody, because the issue is this. Some of these things that we do is tradition.
Yeah.
It has no conviction. That's that's how that's how our forefathers have been doing it. And that is how we must continue doing it. And I tell you, let me tell you simple truth. You know, I
Okay.
said I write the book, and as a researcher, we are tendering towards bivocational pastoral ministry, even in our convention. The
All right.
Southern Baptist Convention, where that came to plant Nigerian Baptist Convention, today 70% of their pastors are bivocational ministers. They move gradually. They started with bivocational pastoral ministry. They moved to full-funded pastoral ministry, and now they are returning back to bivocational pastoral ministry. So there is no call
Okay.
that is not genuine.
Yes. Let me continue the question because of time. Thank you for that answer. So now, I want to believe that you are saying it is valid, it is as genuine as the full-time pastoral ministry. The determining factor is, what is God asking you to do? What is God call you for?
That is
What
it.
has God called you for? So just obey divine instruction as
That is
touching
it.
what he wants you to do, and that's your
Yes.
call. So now, if bivocational pastoral ministry is as valid and genuine as the traditional full-time pastoral ministry, so why are many segregations and prejudices against bivocational pastors by some, not all actually, by some full-time pastors in the Nigerian Baptist Convention? Because your book mentioned the segregation, and sincerely, time will not permit us, because we are trying to manage the time. Some of us can tell you our practical experiences, so I don't want to distract us from our focus. So can you please help us? Why is it that with many of the people who they have been to the seminary, some of them they are not hearing about bivocational pastoral ministry for the first time. Some of them even have some of them in their local churches, and these are full-time pastors, high-ranking. I can tell you one experience. I was in a pastors' fellowship meeting. I took permission from work. I stayed in their midst. They don't know whether one is bivocational, one is full-time. We're all together. And how will I say this thing so that it cannot be traced? One of the leaders in that conference, in fact, I want to say the Oga Patapata, let me not say it clearly, was saying that he was trying to address the full-time pastor and saying, when you are not just like the bivocational pastors. I was like, what does this man mean? So there are many utterances, there are many attitudes, and this person who happened to deal with Oga Patapata in that conference, there was a time I was under him when I was doing my SME. I know my experience. I know how many days I will cry going back home. So a lot of segregation, a lot of prejudices, a lot of negative perception. So why is this so? Can you please, briefly, just share your own opinion about that?
Number one is understanding. Some do not have the understanding of what bivocational pastoral ministry is all about. They see bivocational pastoral ministry, like we have just mentioned the other time, as an inferior call. That they are the one that is holding the superior call. So the understanding is not there. Then sometimes, as a result of, put it this way, loss of focus. For example, I know what God called me into. I know how He called me. I know what I left when he called me. I know that he has called me to come and do this. Then let me face where I am going. Others are also working. Let them continue to do their own work. Then let me also put it this way, that sometimes our orientation, as a Baptist denomination, even while we are growing, they taught us that it's only full-time ministers that are working. And that in the Nigerian Baptist Convention, if you are not a full-time minister, you are not a minister. You remember, in the book, some of the book, sometimes the recognition of this Bi-vocational Pastoral Ministry in the Nigerian Baptist Convention is a child of necessity. When the leaders saw that we are losing our members, they are going to Pentecostal churches, and they see that they are doing very well. They say, how are we going to continue losing our member? Let's give them opportunity to work here. So what we grew with, and then that we refuse to allow it, that we refuse to, how can I put it? That we are not willing to relinquish. We have grew up with that understanding that it is either full-time minister or you are not a minister. So that understanding, and that is why we have to have a kind of reorientation, a kind of reorientation. And one of the recommendations that I put forward in this book is that we need intentional education. Some of the people that we think they know, I'm sorry, they don't know. So we need to. Okay. So we need intentional.
So let's move on. I think you have made the point. Now the next question I want to ask is one of the reasons for transitioning from Bi-vocational Pastoral Ministry that you identified on page 153 of your book is because of some observable challenges associated with the practice of Bi-vocational Pastoral Ministry in the Nigerian Baptist Convention. Now, the question in this is that, are these challenges not fueled by formulated policies on Bi-vocational Pastoral Ministry? And these policies are formulated by some high-ranking full-time pastors in the convention. So, the question is, those challenges, are they not fueled by those policies formulated by the full-time pastors themselves? And also, so what is your recommendation on policy formulation to the practice of Bi-vocational Pastoral Ministry in the Nigerian Baptist Convention? Because we discovered that majority of the policy, as you mentioned in the book, they are responses to emerging problems. So some people will just gather. That's the picture I saw from reading the book. Because they are high-ranking officer in the convention, they will come up with some policies. There is one man online, I don't want to mention his name, that always come up with policies for Bi-vocational ministry, policies for volunteer ministers, how a pastor should. So, and I'm trying to research into him. I think he's one of the known figures in the convention. So, the thing is, sometimes you look at who are the people formulating the policy, and what are the justification for the policies they are formulating. And so you see many people transitioning, because of those challenges. They move from Bi-vocational Pastoral Ministry to full-time. They just want to fit in. They want to belong. They are tired of the thing that Yoruba always say pé ọjọ́ wo gan ni la fẹ́ bẹ̀rẹ̀ kinní kan táwọn kọ́ máa ṣe kinní kan, that the ministry gangan táwọn fẹ́ ṣe, the ministry that they want to do, the challenges are not allowing them to fulfill it. So if this is the model that is acceptable to them, let them just look for a way of escape so that they can be at rest. So you see many so-called bi-vocational pastoral ministers who transitioned out of pressure, out of challenges, and these challenges, it seems they are being fueled by some policies that are formulated. So what can you say on that?
Yeah, if you look at in the book, in the recommendation, I recommended that there should be a review of the policies. The policies are due for review. And it's not only that I said they should review it, I said I highlighted, I isolated areas that they needed to pay attention to in reviewing the policy. I look at the issue of accommodation, issue of remuneration, issue of definition. So I try to isolate it as some of the areas that attention needed to be given to. Then I also tried to I isolated the composition. If they want to review the policy, what should be the composition of the people that should be involved? And I specifically mentioned that the bi-vocational minister also need to be involved. The Yoruba people will say, "Èèyàn fárí lẹ́yìn olórí." So they need to engage bi-vocational ministers, because so that if we all agree on a thing, the full-time, the bi-vocationals, the leaders, if we agree that this is what we are standing by, and eventually the policy is published, and some people are working against it, nobody will be able to say I'm excluded in the process of formulation of the policy. So there's need for review. Some of those policies are due for review, and I advocated that they should be reviewed.
Okay. So are you also saying that some of the reasons for the transitioning, as you identify in the book, is because of the challenges, and that the challenges are one of the factors contributing to the challenges is the policy that are formulated? Am I correct to say you are saying that?
Yeah, because the findings from the field actually shows that. The field survey shows that. So it's not only that I'm speaking, but the people I interviewed, people that transitioned from bi-vocational pastoral ministry to full-time pastoral ministry, they actually mentioned that. So it's not a matter of maybe I'm saying it. It's the findings of the work that is saying it. Do you get it? Hello? Hello?
Okay. So because of time, I want to believe you've answered that, because my network just paused. So okay, let me move to the next question. And that is, some local Baptist churches understand their terrain and its peculiarity very well. They understand their terrain and the peculiarity of their terrain very well. So they prefer bi-vocational pastoral ministry as what can enhance their growth, and make them to advance the kingdom of God more. But convention policy on Bi-vocational Pastoral Ministry is limiting them. You know, there are many policies on that is limiting to them in that regard, because there are many things to touch. I wouldn't venture into some of these policies, but you know them because we have researched into them. So to what extent does the autonomy of the local Baptist church work in that kind of situation? Because when you look at the Baptist distinctiveness, one of the distinctiveness of the Baptist denomination is the autonomy of the local church. And from the classical understanding, I use the word classical because we're having a whole lot of variation now. And I saw a variation even in your book, responsible autonomy. All those variations are not what the classical talk about. There was a time I was looking into that, even from the Southern Baptist Convention perspective. It's online. I discovered that many things that our convention leaders, some of our professors in the seminary are coming up with, they are just trying to condition us to accept a kind of model, that they want to evolve out of the classical one. So, and if you look at the classical one, if you draw a pyramid, you discover that on top of that pyramid, I would have loved to ask you, but let me say it this way so that you can share your own opinion about that. Now, on the top of that pyramid is the local Baptist church, not the convention. If we want to look at it classically, the convention, the conference, the association, the local Baptist churches are cooperating with them for the sake of missions, so that together they can pull resources together, human, financial, and material resources for the cause of the mission of the kingdom. But now you look at what we are practicing. Is it still congregationalism? Is it episcopal? Is it you don't even know? Or something will just come from the top, and it is expected that each local church go by it. If a local church is trying to go otherwise, there is a tagging. In fact, the church pastor can be suspended, or all manners of things can happen. So we have all manners of reports, which may not be correct anyway, but there are things we have heard in that regard. So what I'm asking is that some Baptist churches, they believe that for them, with the understanding of their terrain and their peculiarity, they prefer to call a bivocational pastor. Yet, convention policy says a bivocational pastor cannot stay more than 2 years, then to be renewed with the knowledge of the ministerial board or whatever for another 1 year or so, and then like that, all manners of write-up. Sometimes you question the source. Is it the Holy Spirit or human sentiment? We are not sure. We are still human beings. So we are asking because you have researched, you have looked into it, and want you to help us on this. So in that kind of church, what will you have them do when the autonomy of their own autonomy is confronted with the limitation of policies that are formulated by the convention? What should they do? And they know that they don't have capacity to call a full-time pastor, looking at their terrain and their peculiarity. So I know there are some churches you mentioned, like the plateau churches and the rest of them. There are many of those kinds. So what will you have them do? Your recommendation?
Thank you so much. If you look at that section where I discussed the autonomy, of local Baptist church or local Baptist churches. Actually, I discussed about 2 or 3 types in that section of the book. And from the field survey, what we are practicing in the Nigerian Baptist Convention, I coined it and I say it's guided and guarded autonomy. It's there in the book. And that's what is, they also call it responsible autonomy. And in the book, I said, if it is guided autonomy that we are practicing, then the other cooperating bodies, because in the actual sense, the local church formed the association, they formed the conference, and they formed the convention. So I said, if that is the guided or unguarded or responsible autonomy, as it is being called, then that permits the convention, the association, and the conference to intervene in the affairs of the local church. But there in the book, as I said, there is this classical autonomy, as mentioned. The classical autonomy, the local church is autonomous when it comes to its leadership. Is self-supporting, self-governing, self-financing, self-establishing, self-propagating. So if it is classical autonomy that our forebears taught us, then the convention, the conference, and narration, they are actually dabbling into affairs that they have no issues with. Because the local church is autonomous in the choice of their leaders, in the choice of how they are going to finance their project, in the way they are going to propagate themselves. So that's where we find ourselves. And like I said, this is guided. If you look at the interview, the field survey, but for me, and I don't want to, let me just say this way. Africans, we have a way of doing our things. Are you getting me? Africans, we have a way. When we take something from the white people, we try to modify it. Sometimes so that, Africans, there's a way we want to be in control. You understand me? There's a way we want to be in control, and sometimes we pan a bit. So for me, like in the book I said, if there are grievances, let's express it through the right channel. This is what we believe. This is what we believe. This is what we believe. And I tell you, they will listen.
Okay.
I can cite instances that is ongoing in our convention now. Although some of them are just opposite of, but they express their view. And then the convention in a way is forced to listen to them. So let's express it. For example, like I said it, there are some churches that they will never grow to engage a full-time pastor. For example, let me cite an example of such a church in Ogbomoso, like the leper colony church. We should not pray that they should grow. If they are growing, then we are in for trouble. There are some churches in the villages that if it's only if miracle and there's a sudden transformation, that they cannot. So why are we just troubling ourselves? And then, some of our policies are too general. Let me just stop there.
All right. So the church that are in such situation, they should channel their situation to the right established convention authorities.
Yes, sir.
For next reaction. Is that your recommendation?
Yes. They should state their position, their view.
Okay. I'm just looking at the way we contextualized things in this part of the world. Sometimes we contextualize it to become a limiting factor. Out of the fact that we claim we are trying to maintain orderliness, but yet our contextualization of the original thing to fit into our own context is now going the way of making it become a limiting factor to some part of us. And I don't know, because as we are addressing that, I just look at the early church. The first issue they have, these are people who are filled with the Holy Spirit too. Àwọn tí iná ẹ̀mọ́ tó bọ́lé lórí, àlítí ìbá tẹ̀ ṣe gbogbo àwọn tó wà ń bẹ̀ ń gbà, àwọn kan nu wọn ṣàgbà iná sórí ń gbà yẹn nígbà tíjọ bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní dàgbà, when the church started increasing, those who are being saved. The first problem, the issue they have is the issue of the Christians, Jews, they were complaining their own widow are not being served and things, issues of food. And immediately it was addressed. They did not put any limiting factor. They addressed it as a matter of importance. For the growth of the church began to grow by the way it was addressed. Right. The church began to grow by the way it was addressed. But by the way some of these issues are being addressed is making some people to run away from the Baptist denomination. Is making the church, I don't know whether it's growing or not, because growth is not only numerically, it's even in terms of quality. So that just came to mind that there are issues that we don't need to make it complicated by our so-called contextualizing, regularization. I don't want to use the word bureaucratic bottleneck, all this bottleneck of convention policies and all those things. So, because I know churches where they have issues with getting, in fact, some full-time pastors that they want to get again, they don't want to stay, they don't want to manage with them because they have bukata, they have responsibility, and the church cannot bear their responsibility. And we have many Bi-vocational pastors who, it's not as if they are earning millions in their profession. In fact, some of them will not do profession that will not allow them to give attention to the ministry. Otherwise, they will have gone for professions that will pay them more. But because of their own consciousness of the ministry, they took some professions that will still permit them to have time for the ministry. And so it's not as if all of them are doing the job that they are well paid, in quote, like that. But one way or the other, they are also sacrificing. They are ready to take up those churches. But if they take the churches up, you have a situation whereby they are limited by a number of years. They have to renew it. They have to rewrite again and renew it. Those kind of policy. Anyway, let's move on because of our time. History does not lie. Only those who narrate it or who interpret it that may lie. Historical truth shows us some realities about the practice of Bi-vocational Pastoral Ministry, right from the earliest formation of the Nigerian Baptist Convention, as we see on the pages of the book. But the contemporary realities are showing some issues around the practice of bivocational pastoral ministry, the Nigerian Baptist Convention. So I don't know if you are hearing me.
I'm here, sir.
Yes. So now, what has changed? Is the Nigerian Baptist Convention still the same, or they are no more Baptistic? Because from the historical realities that we see on the pages of the book, with references, we know what we read about what was, but what was is no more, and the ones that are still being, they are being threatened. So are we still Baptistic as a convention? So please help us on that.
Yeah, thank you so much for the question. Are we still Baptistic? Over time, as a denomination, we have interacted with so many other denominations. There have been a kind of, let me just call it, denominational interactions. We have borrowed some things from other denominations, and then the context of our operation as us is when we compare it then and now, is quite different. I will try to explain what I'm saying. Now, if you look at some of the historical antecedents that I mentioned, especially during the pre-Golden era of bivocational pastoral ministry, at a time, it was even the convention that was advocating that people should be involved in the bivocational pastoral ministry, because the church then are not buoyant. Some churches cannot cater for their pastors. So the convention then was like, okay, if you can add this to your pastoral ministry just to help you, you can go ahead. And then during that period also, you see the convention saying, okay, we need more bivocational minister to transit to full-time ministry because of the shortage of our workforce then, and because of the financial entitlement that is attached to pastoral ministry then. Pastoral ministry then was not as lucrative, let me use that word, lucrative, then as it is, as we have it now. Then pastors then is like you are begging people to go to seminary, because they know that it's like, if you are being called to pastoral ministry, it's like a call to suffering. But today, we have seen pastoral ministry as being lucrative. Some people, even when they say God call you to pastoral ministry now, it's like, you get what I'm trying to say? So the context then and the context now is quite different. The denomination has remained, its denomination is the same. Our name has not changed, but the context of operation has changed. And then the people that are involved now has changed compared to the people that were involved then. Those people that came to ministry then, they came with that is like, I'm going, anything that happened to me, happened to me. But there are different motives why people come to ministry today. And then, the motive why you accept or you accepted the call has a great influence on how you are going to run and carry out, fulfill the call. So the context then and now is not the same. Then the interaction we have then and now is not the same. Our convention has interacted with so many other denominations that has influenced so many things about us. So that one is also affecting our practices now. If going through the book, we discover that so many things have changed compared to then and now. So let me just stop there.
Now, if I can get you clearly, I want to move from that question, but there is something I want you to clarify also.
Okay.
There is another question that is in line with this, but I don't want to wait till that question. Because
Okay.
in the book, we saw Reverend CTT George to be the convention chairman.
President
and
then.
He was proudly a Bi-vocational minister.
Yeah.
And the book talked much about him and his contribution. I think during this time is when you used to have the General Secretary as the convention. Now it has been changed to convention president and the rest of it. Now, those people, they fulfilled their own calling because they were so convinced that that is what God called them to do and who God called them to be. And they are not pressurized by the interpretations of others who are not in their own path. So they have the security, they have the confidence, and the environment of the convention then, even though it was there, it was not as popular as this, yet the environment allow such person to be the convention chairman. The convention chairman knew. So, but now those are historical realities that we can see from the book, and they are not something you coined. They are things that you also got from the records, and you made reference to those records. So now, the same convention, the same Nigerian Baptist Convention, yes, you have talked about people have changed, time has changed, our interaction is no more conservative. We have interacted with many other denominations and many other factors that time will not permit us to mention. But the question is, what makes us to be distinct is our identity. And our identity are those Baptist distinctiveness. And the fact that people are changing, times are changing, our interaction with other ecumenical body, members of the ecumenical body are also increasing. Should that also transform our identity as a Baptist? Let's narrow it down to our practice, especially the practice of Bi-vocational Pastoral Ministry, because you discover that there are some. I'm now going to that question now, which I don't want to, but let me say it at this point. There are some convention offices. I mean, there are some denominational offices that a Bi-vocational pastor cannot occupy. In the book, I read a case study of what happened in Okio on the issue of a Bi-vocational pastor wanting to become the chairman of Pastors Fellowship, the moderator of one association, which you mentioned in the book for the reference. And, you know, it is like the picture there is like, say, the Bi-vocational pastors, they are no more, they don't want to know their size anymore. They want to be calling themselves who they are not. How can they think they want to become moderator? How can they think they want to become chairman of Pastors Fellowship? Is it that they want to make themselves co-equal with the full-time pastor? Those who have burned the bridge, those who are not having other sources of income, except They are the one living the sacrificial life. You know, those they are, I don't want to go too much, because I remember I was interacting with a full-time elderly reverend. The person has retired, if I must say it. So they were talking in line with Bi-vocational, and he said, they want to become a associate chairman. The case that happened in Okyogun is why some pastors are not allowing them in their local churches again. That they want to be making themselves to be who the convention has not made them to be. This same convention. So sometimes all these things you have said and what the book is recommending and pushing forward, you look at the applicability of them in the real situation of our context, the Nigerian Baptist Convention. Can it happen at all? Because majority of the players there are full-time pastors. Majority of them carry the orientation of we have burned the bridge, and some other orientation that some of them will not express out, but they are using to judge others. So I'm just looking at that. Yes, we are interacting. Time is changing. The convention leaders are changing. But does it mean we should lose our identity, our distinctiveness? Are we still Baptist? Because what makes us to be Baptist is our distinctiveness. And you look at our historical background, what has happened in the past, and has helped us, because we have the record. Reverend C.T.T. George, was the convention chairman, and he was there from 1991 or so to 1995, if I can recollect, according to the book. Can it ever happen again in this present Baptist convention, Nigerian Baptist Convention? Convention chairman, we are talking about convention chairman. No. Now look at the contemporary issue of moderator of an association. Look at the contemporary issue of chairman of a pastor's fellowship. So that some people are saying, how can a Bi-vocational pastor become that? And immediately a policy was formulated that no Bi-vocational pastor shall be chairman of pastor's fellowship or moderator of an association. And the justification for that is the issue that happened in Okyogun. So they just quickly shut them up so that they can know their level. So I'm just thinking, as you are saying all those things, that this is what we are becoming. Be saying like, the kind of child you born is the child you will carry. Are we going to continue to carry something that does not show our identity, our true identity as Baptist? So I want you to just make some comment on that, and then we'll move on.
Okay, thank you so much. In the actual sense, we believe that whatsoever that is Baptistic should be biblical. And whatsoever that is biblical is Baptistic. That's the slogan. And that is how it should be, because the Baptist, our nickname is the people of the book. And the book, we are talking about both the Bible, and then Baptists are known to be voracious readers. They are well exposed, and then they are well informed. And for me, our distinctives, our identities, we should not lose it, but we are fast losing it. That's just the truth. We are fast losing things that distinguished us from other denominations. If you look at a typical Baptist church now, you see different kinds of things. You will see Celestial Baptist Church, you will see C&S Baptist Church, you see Anglican Baptist Church, you see Redeemed Baptist Church, because we are bringing in so much things. And it's not only affecting our practices, it's affecting our policies. But that should not be. Even though we need to move with the time, yet there are some things about us that should not change, especially things that the Bible emphatically declared about, and we have biblical justifications for. Now, so we should ensure that we actually maintain those things so that we can retain our identity. We can retain our what distinguished us from other denominations. Then, as touching the issue of what happened during when Dr. C.T.T. George was the president of the convention, all those stuff. Now, if you clearly look at the book, especially when I discussed the issue of bivocational minister cannot hold denominational offices, and then from the field study, and the conclusion is that it's like just making a case. That what happened in Okeogun, Baptist Conference, is a case, and it's like generalizing a case. You understand me? It's like, for example, you now say, if you see maybe a full-time minister that maybe he committed an atrocity, it is not a license for you to say all full-time ministers commit such an atrocity. You understand me? If you see a bivocational minister committing a particular, it's not a case for you to say, oh, and then they should be made to face similar things. You understand what I'm trying to say? Now, for me, like I said in the book, that some of our policies actually need a review. Some of them are not formulated the Baptist way we formulate policy. There is Baptist way of policy formation. Some of them are not formulated in that regard. It's like some people, some of them, let me just say, some of them are not formulated like that. As a denomination, we believe that the convention in session is actually it has the final authority on whatsoever thing that we are saying. But some of these policies that we talk about, some of them never go through the convention in session. Some people write, then they publish it. Look, just go and check our book of policies. Check that over, the one that is released in, I think, 1991 at Igedekiti. If you have to go and check it, look at what is written under it. You will see accepted at convention in session. Go and check the other two. Go and look at what is there. There's a way we formulate our policy as a convention, as a Baptist. And if we are not going by that, we continue to have issues and problems.
Thank you very much. Because of our time. Now, the next question is, you recommend that bivocational pastors should no longer view their roles solely within the context of traditional church ministries. That is in your book.
Yes.
They should consider marketplace ministry, and that is workplace ministry.
Yeah.
Now, how will they be recognized for ordination to become a reverend if they give themselves to marketplace ministry like you so recommend? You know, this question, the background to this question is that many bivocational pastors have graduated from the seminary for over 7 years, yet they have not been ordained because they don't have any official call into the church pastorate. You know, we have different cases. You know, it is easier for somebody who is also worshiping or part of the church that recommended him or her to the seminary. But if you relocate from the church that recommended you to the seminary to another place, you know, they won't, you will need a church call for you to be part of their pastorate. And the perception is that if you are not given a church call, you can, since there can be a recognition that you are a minister, and they can engage in one or two programs. But it is much more easier for somebody who is recognized as part of a local church pastorate to fast track his or our ordination process. So you have many bi-vocational pastors who have graduated for years, and they are just there because they are just there and they are not yet ordained. And you know the policies about their ordination. 4 years after graduation, they must be involved with the pastorate of the church. So there's no church to recommend them for ordination, and it's as if they are just there. In quotes, you know, some members who are stack Baptist members, they will say, he's an unordained pastor. Are you ordained? You are not ordained. Just because he's not yet a reverend and all those things like that. Some pastors who are vocational in this situation, they are concerned and they are psychologically affected, not because they value title that much, but because of the way our ordination is being done in the Nigerian Baptist Convention. I remember when I was in the seminary in Ogbomoso, what's the name of this lecturer of, is it church planting or missiology? The man who has a PhD in South Africa.
Dr. Alawode.
I've forgotten his name. So he said that.
Dr. Alawode.
Hey, thank you, Dr. Alawode. I intentionally mentioned that because he said it, and he said it point blank, that the day you are graduating from the seminary in South Africa, that's the day you are ordained. You are ordained. But here we have some policy formulation that make it challenging for some pastors after years of graduation from the seminary. They are just there. And you know, we have a way, there are many perceptions among our members. I've had a member that I was addressing a pastor, where you say you are a pastor. Where are you pastoring? You know, we have some terrible orientation. Okay, he's a pastor. Even if he has graduated from seminary for the past 15 years and he's still a pastor, they won't reckon with him as, you know, of value, of importance, as somebody who is categorized as a reverend just because he has been ordained. So now, the question is that if a bi-vocational minister gave himself to marketplace ministry, not waiting for church call or anything, in his workplace, his ministry, whether he's a chaplain or he's doing some silent labor of discipleship on some category of persons, is touching life with the grace of God in him, but not officially like some pastors would be recognized by the denomination for the nation. So you are recommending in that book. So such pastors, will they ever be ordained in the Baptist Convention according to the procedure for ordination?
Thank you so much. If you also, you will discover that in the book, I also talk about pastoral ordination for bi-vocational ministers. And it's one of the policies that must be reviewed. The bi-vocational ministers will be ordained after 4 or 5 years post-baccalaureate experience. Then the full-time minister, some 2 years, I think some 3, depending on the certificate. And I also advocate that needs to be reviewed. What are we taking ordination for? Is it not to be involved in ministry? to be involved in full-time, to take full responsibility of ministry. And I think that's just the purpose of ordination, so that you can fully give yourself. It's like somebody say, I want more job. That's just the meaning. Now, when it comes to the issue of that recommendation, then the convention also, we have to work on some things. For example, if we know that a bivocational minister is involved, every bivocational minister also has a particular church he attends. If he wants to engage in such a thing, then the convention, there are so many things that I recommended in that place, that the convention should have a kind of the data of his bivocational ministers. I don't know, but from the field work, the convention do not have the data of bivocational ministers in the Nigerian Baptist Convention. And that's a kind of, it's a weakness. If as a convention we know where all our bivocational ministers are, and we knew that Pastor Lagbaja is working in this particular place, as we have for the full-time ministers, it will be easier. And like you have just mentioned, it's not only in South Africa, the Catholic, the day that you are graduating from the seminary like this, you are ordained. You don't need to go and do some trial something, because ordination is for responsibility. It's not for title. So if we are able to get the data of all our bivocational ministers, we know where individual is working. We know the church where individual, and that's why I called for the fact that there should be an intentional interaction between the convention and the bivocational ministers. We can't say we don't want to do we don't want to give them special recognition. Interaction with somebody doesn't mean we are giving him or her special recognition. Let's interact with them. Let's know where they are working, what they are doing. If we know that this individual is in a university and is functioning and is working there, why can't we just, this local church, okay, you are attached to this particular local church, and then we go about the ordination without any issue, without any challenge. So if the convention can work on the data of its bivocational ministers, let's put sentiment apart. Let's know where each of they are our ministers. They are minister. The office of the VP ministerial can do something like that. So once we know the data, it becomes easier. Because I know that in the banking industry, it is not easy for somebody that is not a banker to have easy access to that place. But we can have a bivocational minister that is a banker and can start something for us as a Baptist in that place. And yet, we will recognize that it's not about the issue of church. It's about the impact that you are making. So I believe that our ordination should not be localized. Let me just put it that way. Should not be localized to the local church. Let's get some other things. Let's have the data first. Let's know where it is working, the impact they are making there, so that we can overcome some of these challenges.
Thank you very much. I think the issue of data actually caught me very, very much. It caught my attention, and because I believe in data, and with data you can do a whole lot.
That's it.
I remember when we were doing the sandwich program, that this thing that the seminary did then, it really helped a whole lot of us to bond, to connect. And that connection is helping us in ministry even till now. Because I wouldn't have been that connected with some pastors if not for that platform. What did they do? They form a zonal fellowship of all of us that are doing sandwich in all conferences of Nigeria. They form zonal fellowship. So there are some conferences where we have more than one zone. So all of us, based on our location, they will merge us together and we have our own president. So we'll be given a form where on quarterly basis, we'll be reporting our stewardship, what we are doing with our training in the seminary and our place of work, our community. That thing always gives us a sense of responsibility, even in the place of work, in the community we live, and we submit. And you know, your supervisory pastor will even countersign at that time. So if you have not done anything within the last quarter, you will want to quickly find something to do so that you can have something to write. So I think a sense of care, concern, you want to make us to feel belong, and you want to make us to feel needed, and you are checking on us. It's also something of very, very great importance to the bi-vocational ministers. So I like your answer there, and I hope that people that need to hear will hear. So moving forward, in your book, you mentioned that some church members are developing offensive ideology towards full-time pastoral ministry, and that is now becoming popularized. So can you emphasize more on that? Because I want to create a balance. That's why that question came up, you know, because I could see, and I think we need to balance things. Some ideologies against full-time pastors that are developing in the current dispensation. So some offensive ideology. Can you lay more emphasis on that so as to create a balance? Because what we are doing, we are not saying that people who are called by God specifically to leave their job. We are not saying they should not leave their job. But we are saying that those whom God has called specifically to leave their job, they should not think others should do like they are doing. But they can be accepted or recognized as a minister in the Baptist denomination. So everybody should do according to specific instructions of his calling. On this offensive ideology by some church members towards the full-time pastors, because it seems they are now preferring bi-vocational pastoral ministry. So can you quickly make an emphasis on that? Yes. You have not on mute. Oh. We can't hear you, sir.
Okay, sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah. I said that term, some church member developing offensive ideology. It was a field-generated term. It was during a field research, the field survey, that particular term came up. And in the course of the interaction, what it actually means is this. You know, fully funded pastoral ministry calls for a lot of financial implications. You understand me? Especially for those that want to depend completely on the church, that all of their life, they place it on the church. Because as I'm a full-time minister, there are some things that I don't depend on the church for. I trust God for them, and God is actually doing it. Because it has a way of giving you honor in the sight of the church members. Now, so what they actually mean by the church member developing some offensive ideology is this. Now, some people will say, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this. So some church members are coming up with the fact that, are we the one who is to take care of all these things? You understand me? Are we the one who is to take care of all this one? Why do you want to put all of your bukata on us? So they are coming, it's like a kind of irritation, a kind of resistance. And actually, it is a reality that some church members are actually doing that. You want to go for a meeting? We can't send you to this meeting. We don't have money. You understand? I'm not saying, so it's actually talking about the fact that some people are actually developing a kind of resistance because of, let me put it in quote, the demand of some full-time ministers.
Thank you for the emphasis. I know that will create a balance. And the only thing I was just thinking as you are saying that is that if you check the recent policy formulated on Bi-vocational Pastoral Ministry, you will see it there that something that is, I was trying to have the book, but I don't know where I put it. And time will not permit me to search for it, so that I plan to read it out directly. But time could not just permit me. So, but something like that full-time pastors who are on part-time job, maybe to augment because of economic challenges that the church cannot bear. So they clearly distinguish them
full-time pastor doing part-time job
as a bivocational pastor. They stylishly, I want to use that word in quote, stylishly carve them out so that they will not be seen as a bivocational pastor. They are full-time pastor, but the situation of their local church, the church where they are pastoring, does not provide for all their expenses, all their needs to be catered for by the church. So they are permitted to do some side things.
Also,
I don't want to call it side hustle. They can farm, they can have poultry, they can be writing books and be publicizing, you know. Book writing is a if you know how to do the marketing. So some of them, they just look at they will adopt that formal vocation. They will just think of what they can do with it, and they will say, since it's not affecting their time for the ministry. After all, ministry is not 24/7. It's not, no. There is one church member whose perception of ministry is that pastor will be praying all through morning, afternoon, night, and all those things. Now, I'm just trying to bring up something that the economic challenges that is coming up is making the burden to become heavier on the church. And the church, they are not willing to carry the whole burden anymore. And now some pastors are looking at what they can do to make things better for them. The fact that their pastor does not mean their life should be terrible. You know, sacrificial life does not mean that the basic needs should not be catered for. You know, so now what I'm trying to say is this: you now discover that some pastors, out of those offensive ideology, they are becoming more like a bi-vocational ministers. But the policy does not want them to be named bi-vocational minister. They want to put them in a safe haven that condition make them to become so. They are not bi-vocational minister. And there is a way they are to be treated in that policy. So I'm just looking at it that, is it actually Holy Spirit formulated or human formulated? Because when you look at some things, but you have mentioned some things about the need for the policy to be reformulated and that it should follow the normal procedure of the Baptist, and that people that are stakeholders, they should all be brought on board. So let's move on because of our time. I want to ask that on page 178 of the book, your second recommendation, you have even mentioned it. Your second recommendation is that an intentional denominational education on bi-vocational pastoral ministry is essential. Intentional denominational education on bi-vocational pastoral ministry is essential. You said that the education should be taken directly to local Baptist churches, associations, and conferences. Now, if that recommendation is followed, don't you think most local Baptist churches will prefer to call bi-vocational pastor instead of calling full-time pastor? If the orientation get to all the local members of the local Baptist church member, and they look at the burden and how easier their burden, how lighter their burden will become because of the orientation that they don't have before. Because like you identified, not many people have a wholesome orientation on this matter of bi-vocational pastoral ministry. Because there was a session, I was in a church when in the discipleship lifestyle in that month, Baptist distinctiveness was the focus. And the course of question and answer, somebody said there were bi-vocational ministers in that church, but the member does not give a damn. He just said to him, any pastor that is not full-time is not a pastor. So now, if such person, another person like him, whose orientation is not full, it's not like we're having it based on historical realities and facts, you know, and that person now have a balanced orientation, is having an expository information on this matter, and is now reoriented to take bi-vocational pastoral ministry as genuine, valid, just like the full-time pastoral ministry is genuine and valid. Don't you think majority of the church members in the Baptist church want to go the way of bi-vocational pastoral ministry? And won't that affect somebody who is genuinely called to full-time pastoral ministry? Will they not suffer no church call? Because I know some full-time pastors, in quotes, here in my location, I don't want to mention, where you see them, because there is no church call for them, they are riding Okada just to feed their family. They are passing through a whole lot. In fact, some of them, if God will not help them, they will not even remember that they are trained to become a pastor. They have become hustler because they have burned the bridge. The initial job that they are no more doing. So they are looking for something to augment so that family can be kept together. So if the education now spread and people are now accepting Bi-vocational Pastoral Ministry as they have accepted traditional full-time pastoral ministry, don't you think that will be a threat to the full-time pastoral and full-time pastors having church call in the Nigerian Baptist Convention? I want you to share your perspective on that.
Thank you so much. The first thing I would like to say is that God will not call anybody that he do not have a place of service for. If God calls, then he already prepared the place where such an individual will serve.
Can you speak out loud, sir? Sorry, sir.
Okay. I said, let me first begin this way. Let me begin this way. The first thing is that God will not call anybody that he didn't need. If God called a person, then he already has a place of service for such an individual. You remember the parable that Jesus told of a owner of a farm. He went out to call some people to a place, to his farmyard, at early hour. Another set of people to the same place, where he called them at different time of the day. So number one, if God calls, he has a place where such an individual will serve. It's only left for the individual to be able to understand where God wants him to serve. That's number one. Number two is that you will also know that there are some churches that they actually need full-time ministers to pastor. Let me cite an example. Nigerian Baptist Church Ogbomoso actually needs somebody that is on ground, on full-time basis to pastor. So there are some churches that if we are sincere about our orientation, that even
we can't
though
hear you, sir. We can no longer hear you. Can you please recap?
Okay, can you hear me like that?
I'm hearing you all very well.
Hear you now. We can hear you now.
Okay, like there are some churches that they actually need, every church needs a pastor. But the kind of pastor that the church needs differs. There are some churches that they need full-time ministers to pastor. And I cited the example of Nigerian Baptist Church in Ogbomoso, which happens to be my home church. So, if there is proper orientation, there are some churches that, even though at the moment they are being pastored by full-time minister, that they actually need a bi-vocational minister to pastor. That church will move forward. Then number three is that I think as a convention, we are still struggling with the issue of multi-staff ministry. Even though we are speaking much about it, but yet we have not gotten our bearing right on that ministry. So I believe that as a denomination, there's time for us to also reorientate ourselves and then actually ask for God to break us down so that we can embrace multi-staff ministry. There are some churches that are being pastored by just a single individual, full-time minister, that can comfortably take 10 ministers. Both the full-time, both the bivocational, both something like that. So there is need for us also to embrace multi-staff pastoral ministry, so that we can have more people. For example, now, even if a bivocational minister is a lead pastor in a place, there is nothing wrong for a full-time minister working with such an individual. Our policy actually gives room for that. And I try to analyze it. He said, that's when he was talking about the length of pastorate. That if a bivocational minister can only lead a church, so that means that it gives room for bivocational minister to be the lead pastor. And they can, like in the United States of America, it's working there. A professor in the university will come, and then it's all about ministry. You know, sometimes in Africa, we take so many other things into ministry apart from the ministry. We focus on some irrelevant things.
Yes.
He's older than me. He has more certificate that I do. In the United States, nothing concerns them about that one. A professor can be serving under somebody with BTH, and he will give him his due honor, and the other also will give him the due honor. So there is need for us to embrace more by multi-staff pastoral ministry. Let's give the orientation. Let people know what is right. If they know what is right, people that will not, even if they know, people that will still say God is leading us to this individual as a full-time pastor, we still go for a full-time minister. And people that will say, okay, yes, thank you.
Yes, you still want to say something? Yeah.
Yes, and people that will say, even though we have had the orientation, we still want to retain our bivocational minister. And the bivocational minister also must be magnanimous enough that he should accommodate other people. If it is ministry that if it is ministry that is our focus, some of these issues that we are having, we will not have them. But we focus more than ministry.
Thank you. That's a powerful point there. And honestly, it's very powerful. You may not know, but I know you know, because you have the field experience. Apart from researching, I've also pastored for a big church, for that matter, for almost 10 years. So you know, because you see, I'm looking at some provisions in the denomination that if actually the way we are being taught in the seminary, the custodian of that knowledge, I mean those knowledge, especially the trained pastors, if they are applying it as it should be applied, I think some of these contemporary issues will never emerge. Because your recommendation now, from what you have said, if there is denominational education, intensive one, intentional one, and get from top to bottom, everybody in the city, in the village, and maybe it produced everybody accepting and seeing Bi-vocational Pastoral Ministry as genuine and valid as full-time pastoral ministry. It will even give us a better sense of purpose. You will go for where God actually called you. Now, what will now balance that, what will complement that, is another concept which you have raised, which is not well practiced. That is multi-staff pastoral ministry. Honestly, if multi-staff pastoral ministry is in place, there will be no issue with either the pastorate of the church is made up of both full-time and bivocational. Since ministry is the focus and there is no other thing, but now we have many other things that have been added and it's causing a whole lot of issues. Where it's typical of the church. We see if there is no such issue in some of those churches, we wouldn't have the epistles, we wouldn't have the letters. So it's not strange, but the way address them, the way the church leaders address them, determine whether it will move the church forward or cause more harm to the ministry of the kingdom. So I want to appreciate that which you have also mentioned. That is the multi-staff pastoral ministry is a complementary to this intentional denominational education, because if that provision is not there, if there is education of the members of the denomination and they accept the Bi-vocational Pastoral Ministry as genuine, as valid as the full-time pastoral ministry, you discover that some full-time pastors will be threatened. It will be as if their livelihood is ended, because some of them, they just burn the bridge of secular job. This other job must not get out of, you know. So you see, we have all manners of orientation as touching the ministry, and sometimes the economy of the country has made many of us to become whom we are not supposed to be. The poverty level, the challenges that is affecting everybody is making many, even pastors inclusive, to become whom God has not called them to be, all in a bid for survivor. So God will help us, and I think it's a powerful point that the denominational education should be complemented with the practice of multi-staff pastoral ministry. That is when no one will be threatened. The full-time pastoral ministry will not be threatened. Otherwise, because of these economic factors, some pastors, some local churches who are even capable to call a full-time pastor will not call a full-time pastor again, because they will say their own too much. So, but if there is this understanding, so the education should go with the promotion of multi-staff pastoral ministry. That's what I want to emphasize there. That denominational education by vocational pastoral ministry should go with the practice of multi-staff pastoral ministry. It will help both sides, and even the full-time pastoral ministry will not be under threat. So that's what I want to say. I'm sorry, the second to the last question is this. Now, on the polarization of pastors' fellowship, because in your book you mentioned the polarization of pastors' fellowship, and I'm even surprised to, let me say it is interesting for me to even come about the forum of bi-vocational ministers in your book, and I'm happy that one of the person mentioned as leader of that forum is here with us on the platform, and I know we have many things to also share with us when it is time. So now, in that book, you said on the polarization of pastors' fellowship, you mentioned polarization of pastors' fellowship, and what you meant by that is that apart from the pastors' fellowship that combines all pastors, I'm talking about full-time pastors, bi-vocational pastors, all of them as one body, that it seems the bi-vocational pastors are now having their own fellowship apart from the general pastors' fellowship, and you call that polarization, maybe because of several factors that you identify as the underlying factors: agitations, challenges, segregations, and prejudices, and all manners of things like that. So that's what I see in the context of that book brought about this concept of polarization of the pastors' fellowship. So on the polarization of the pastors' fellowship, don't you think some full-time pastors are encouraging it by their attitude and utterances about bi-vocational pastoral ministry? Like I mentioned the other time, there are meetings where you see full-time pastors leading, and they will make some utterances that are demeaning of the bi-vocational pastors, and sometimes those bi-vocational pastors are in their midst. At least they don't carry the label that I'm a bi-vocational pastor or a pastor. So sometimes when they go for that fellowship, there are utterances that hurt them, that give them some psychological injury. And then the package of the program, the content of the program, does not cater for the bi-vocational ministers. Everything is centered on full-time ministers, on the assumption that a Baptist pastor is supposed to be a full-time minister. I call it assumption because if it is not so, why is it that you call a general pastor's fellowship meeting and all you do is tailored in the direction of one section of the members of the fellowship? Or can we say the leadership of the pastor's fellowship are not aware that there is bi-vocational pastors, or they don't give them the necessary recognition? So don't you think it is the attitudes, the utterances, the disposition of some of these leaders who are denominational leaders who are also full-time pastors, traditional full-time pastors, that is making the bi-vocational pastors to reason together and come up with their own fellowship, not to compete with the general pastoral fellowship, but to cater for their own needs specifically? Because if they don't cater for their own needs, who will cater for it? They also have needs, and that is the essence of fellowship. Iron sharpens iron. So if the iron available is not recognizing them as co-iron, don't you think it's necessary for them to also gather themselves as fellow iron and continue to sharpen themselves so that they can meet their ministerial needs together in fellowship? So can we call that polarization in that context, given the several challenges that they are facing on the field? I'd like you to respond to that.
Okay, thank you so much. Like when I was reviewing that particular chapter, talking about the challenges of Bi-vocational Pastoral Ministry in the Nigerian Baptist Convention, I said it was in two phases. The first phase, or the first section, deals with the challenges that the convention is facing, that Bi-vocational Pastoral Ministry is posing to the Nigerian Baptist Convention. And then the challenges, the second section deals with the challenges that bi-vocational ministers are facing from the Nigerian Baptist Convention. And then I don't know, maybe you have the opportunity of hearing of what happened in Okeogun Baptist Conference regarding this polarization. Now, Okeogun Baptist Conference issue was a very tough issue. It was, I don't want to call it let me just use the word in quote, it was a bad issue. Because it got into a place that is like, it has become a kind of, we are fighting each other. Full-time ministers versus bivocational ministers. Because I interacted with some stakeholders from that conference. The conference president I interviewed the individual that was at the center of that crisis. I interviewed the bivocational minister that was being proposed to be the moderator. I interviewed the full-time minister that eventually emerged as the moderator. So it was a robust interview. And indeed, it was a kind of we versus we versus us. So it was an issue. It was, let me call it, it was a crisis. It almost scattered.
On what ground does it become a battle?
A battle in the sense that, if if it got into the extent that I'm saying, if a full-time minister want to, maybe a full-time minister child and a bivocational minister child, they are dating before and saying, you get what I'm trying to say?
Yes, but what is the, since you interview both sides, what is the identified underlining factor?
The major issue in that place, that's issue of who is to occupy this particular office, who is to occupy this particular office. For an issue to get to the extent for the convention to come, that the issue is actually an issue. When the association cannot sort it out again, when the conference cannot sort it out again, then the convention needed to come and intervene.
Sorry, sir. Is it a quest for recognition? Is it a quest for ministerial recognition on the part of the bi-vocational pastors there, or is just a desire for position?
I can't actually say that one. Some things are just personal that may not be expressed. You understand me? But for something to degenerate to that extent, and then it's like we are saying we are meeting on our own. Now, if you look at what I projected in that book, there are reasons for it, but it's a challenge to our corporate body. You understand me? Now, there are so many reasons that justify reasons why we also need to fellowship together. We need to interact together. You understand me? Because we are saying that Yoruba ni pe ibi tí wọn ò bá ti fẹ́yàn, where you are not wanted, where you are not desired, sometimes you try to at least step out. But we can still not remove the fact that it is a challenge. It's a challenge to the fellowship. Now, these are the Okego issue got to the extent that the Bi-vocational Ministers Fellowship in that conference, they wrote to the convention that the fellowship should be recognized, given like we want to operate on our own. You understand me? I know that if Okego people are later listening to this, they will be able to clarify some things. But got into that extent, I don't know, maybe it was captured in the book, but it was captured in the original research, in the original dissertation. Do you get me?
I have a kind of bridge. Can you please recap, sir? Some of those things you said, I could not hear it. There was a kind of interruption.
Yeah, I said that.
Can you hear me, sir?
I can hear you. I'm hearing you. Can you hear me also?
This network.
Can you hear me?
Sorry, can you hear me, sir?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I'm hearing you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Can you? Wow. Okay. It seems the resource person is having a network challenge. So, sir, why? Okay, sir. Thank you. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Oh, Eshe, because I could not hear you at all.
I was
I don't know
hearing
what
you.
you said last. Can you just summarize it so that I won't be stressing you too much, so that it can be for the record?
Okay, I said that there is that the reasons why there is a kind of we want to attend to our own needs, the reasons are justifiable, and the reasons I quite analyzed them, isolated them, mentioned them in the work. But the fact still remains that it is a challenge to the Nigerian Baptist Convention. It's a challenge to the Pastors Fellowship. It's like you want to, it's like there's a kind of either silently or something that is feasible. There's a kind of division. And where there is a kind of division, we can still remove the fact that it's posing a challenge. So let me stop there. I'm not hearing you. Please unmute. Oh, we are not hearing you. You didn't unmute.
Yes. I'm coming. I don't know. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. I'm hearing you.
Can you hear me now?
I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Yes, I said there are issues that we cannot solve. There are issues we cannot solve. We just have to manage it.
Yeah.
So and in managing it, it may not be 100% perfect, but at least there will be a kind of orderliness. So I want to believe that even though the polarization is not what is encouraged. What is encouraged is that we work together as a team, because alone, there is a saying that alone you can work faster, you can work fast, but together you can work far. So and then teamwork will make all of us to achieve more. Alone you will achieve more, but when you work together with others, you achieve more. And also there's also a saying that teamwork make the dream work. Those sayings are encouraging cooperating with one another, are encouraging that we do things together. But we are all human beings. Man of God being a man of God does not mean that man in us is not there anymore. Everybody needs a sense of belonging, a sense of recognition, a sense of value. So this experience cannot be generalized across all the pastoral fellowship. There are pastoral fellowship that they see themselves as pastors. They don't even remember that somebody is bi-vocational or full-time. They don't even remember that. And you won't even see it among them. They work together. I've read from the historical narrative how some associations have bi-vocational pastors as assistant moderators and several other things like that from the book. So it depends on whether our focus is actually the ministry or something else, because there are many things else that you see that you begin to raise questions, and is it part of the ministry that we are doing? So, but all the same, we should not forget that what is consistent in the Bible is that we should work together, we should fellowship together, we should be together. So, and I think sometimes common interest may make some people to come together. Just like you have in a church, in a local church, you have some fellowship, men's fellowship, women's fellowship. In the Baptist, we say men missionary union, women missionary society. We have the Lydia group and all those things, because there is certain specific common interest. So sometimes it may not be polarization, just to balance things now, because those fellowship are actually a gathering of people with common interest and common concern. This thing we are doing now, if God has not helped you and
Hello.
Hello.
Has the meeting ended?
No, I think he has network issue.
Okay.
from all we have said, I don't know if you have been hearing me. Have you been hearing me, or you have not?
No, we've not been hearing you.
Sir?
We stopped hearing you at a point.
Oh. Okay. So did you hear the point where I said that we should work together in fellowship? Did you hear that?
Yes, talking about common interest, common.
Yes, that some people. Okay. So because of our time, so I don't know if you have anything you want to say in this regard before we end this part. Any other thing you want to mention in this part as we close on this part before we go to the final part of our engagement?
Yeah.
Anything you want to mention, anything you want to say generally on those issues we have identified, those things we have addressed?
Yeah, like I would just like to
maybe you want to place emphasis on some of the recommendations that will make the prospects and the perspective of vocational ministries in the Nigerian Baptist Convention to be improved upon. You can make some emphasis on that too.
Yeah, thank you so much. I would like to buttress one of the recommendations, and the recommendation has to do with the fact that, yes, I can I'm hearing you. Can you also hear me?
Can you still hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, thank you. I say I will like to buttress one of the recommendations so that we can have a so that we can have a good working environment for all of us as pastors in the Nigerian Baptist Convention. And that's talking about the need for full-time ministers and bi-vocational ministers to work together. With the need for us to work together as people called of God, as people that God has invited to come and join him where he's actually working. Because in the actual sense, the work is not ours. The work actually belongs to God. He just invited us. He's inviting us to work together with him. So there's need for us to work together. There's need for us to do away with our selfish interest. Let me just call it that selfish interest. The need for us to become more God-centered. The need for us to become more ministry focused. The need for us to focus what God has called us into. If God has called me as a full-time minister, let me face the ministry. If God has called me into full-time ministry, let me know that that's what God has called me into. And I should not, because somebody God has called him or her to bi-vocational ministry, then look down on him. No, none of us is inferior. We are all called by God. Let's face what God has called us into. And as Yoruba people, we say that the sky is large enough for as many birds that wish to fly therein. That ojú ọ̀run tẹ́yẹ fò láì fara lura wọn. So let's face the ministry and then do away with things that can separate us, things that can make the ministry to become secondary, and then we now focus on we now major on the minor, and then we become minor in the major. Let our majors focus the ministry. If that becomes us, then I tell you that we are going to have a good working atmosphere where we will see ourselves as brothers and sisters, and not as not as competitors. We are to complement one another. Where things I cannot do, my brother can do it. And then at the end of the day, all glory will belong to God. And all of us, we are going to receive our reward. I will not receive the reward of what God has not called me to do here. Even if I do it, I will only be rewarded based on what God has commissioned me to do. So let's work together. Let's complement and forget about competitions. And I pray that God is going to help us in the name of Jesus.
Thank you very much. As we are speaking, I just remember the Sunday school, one of our Sunday school lessons. And the reference is a popular story in the Bible talking about Deborah and Barak. You know, so Barak, there is one lesson about Barak. People place much emphasis on Deborah, yes, but Barak never cared about who take the glory of winning the battle. All he wants is just that Israel must be victorious in battle. And even though he's a commander, he believed in divine presence, whom the prophet, who is also the judge. You know, I'm seeing Deborah as even a picture of a bi-vocational minister. You know, he's a prophet and he's also the judge. I don't think there is any other judge in Israel at that time, like who combined the office of a prophet with that of being a judge. I don't think there is any other. Okay, maybe Samuel too. So who is the judge of the whole nation and as well as a prophet. But you could see Barak, he never cared. Because when Deborah was telling him that a woman will take the glory, he did not even give it any importance. All his concern was that Israel must win the battle. So, and his name was also recorded in the eternal book. So we should just have that consciousness that God is the rewarder and he sees, he's the one that sees our silent labor. But where the challenge is that let me emphasize again, the ordination is supposed to be for ministerial responsibility. If you are ordained, ministerial responsibility will increase. But we cannot say that it is not also a form of official recognition in the denomination, whether we like it or not. We cannot say it's not a form of official recognition in the denomination. I'm talking about ordination. So a situation whereby people don't bother about taking any glory, they just want to do the ministry. Yet they are being recognized, at least ministerially, in the context of others. You know, we have to just see how we can balance things up and complement ourselves with the kingdom as our focus, kingdom expansion. I want to appreciate you, sir. Before you say your final word, because I thought we'll be able to have the third part, which is the interactive session, and for the network issue, I don't know, we couldn't have Reverend Dr. Yedokun with us on the platform up to this point. So, but I will just say that let me say this, and then you will give us a final word, and then we are going to close. We are almost spending 3 hours on this interactive session. Well, it's worth it, and time did not allow us when we started to talk about our resource person, because we need to also, for those of us that have not met him before, I want to believe that it has been very engaging and enriching. And so our resource person is Reverend Olusojo Stephen Lufoye, PhD. I can say Dr. Olusojo Lufoye, PhD, because in Baptist, this is an unwritten rule anyway. If you have DME, they will say Reverend Doctor, they will mention your name. If you have PhD, they will say Reverend. You have PhD and you are also a Reverend. They will say Reverend Sanjo Ilufoye. They will now put PhD. So you can also address them Doctor. Those are unwritten rule anyway. It's part of those things they handed over to us. All those things anyway, it can't for, just for recognition, but there's more. So, and we have to recognize that. So, Reverend Sanjo Ilufoye, PhD, is an ordained Baptist pastor, and you could see that he has spoken from his wealth of experience. He has been in the classroom and he has been on the field. I'm not talking about field of research, I'm talking about field of practice in the church. Not a small church, big church, old church that has been ancient. Well, I don't know. I think the church is over 100 years, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it should be 148 years now.
Can you see? Where you have big people, old people. So it's not a small person in terms of ministerial responsibility. So he pastored the Nigerian Baptist Church of Ogbomoso for about 10 years. He's a seasoned preacher and a teacher of the word, and the host of Moment of Divine Encounter on Brave 91.1 FM Ogbomoso. He is a seasoned researcher with many academic awards to his credit. I know he has many awards. When you talk about academic, God has endowed him with certain grace. First class distinction, start from distinction in ND, first class in university, in the seminary too, he stood out, first class. So God gave him that grace, and those of us that know him. So he has articles to his credit in local and international journals, as well as chapters in books. His area of research interests include church history, Christian missions, and Christian preaching. He badged a national diploma, science, laboratory, and technology from Federal Polytechnic Ede, Bachelor of Technology, Agri-Economic and Extension from Ladoke University of Technology, Ogbomoso. He also has Masters of Divinity, Missiology, Masters of Theology, Missiology, and Church History, and a Doctor of Philosophy, Church History from the Nigerian Baptist Theological Seminary, Ogbomoso. Currently, he no book. He's a lover of book. Currently pursuing another Doctor of Philosophy in Missiology at the University of South Africa. So he's happily married and blessed with children. He has authored 2 books, so before the one that we are using as a reference book today in this discussion. So he has authored 2 books, and those books are also, you won't expect less. They are on family life and other things. I didn't put the title of the book, but I would recommend this book for you. This book. Look at the book. It's not too voluminous for some people that don't like reading too much volume of book. So it's moderate. And honestly, if you're a fast reader, in 2 days you can finish reading it. I don't think I spent up to 4 days because of my schedule before I finish reading. It's just my interruption of schedule. If you are a fast reader and a lover of books, within a short time you are done. And we have how many pages? Apart from the pages of the biography, we have about 183 pages. And when you start reading, you don't want to drop it. So I encourage us to get it. There is more that we cannot touch in this session that you will discover for yourself, especially if you're a bi-vocational minister, if you're a member of a local Baptist church, if you're a full-time pastors, if you're denominational Baptist denominational leaders under the Nigerian Baptist Convention. Just like we have mentioned, the book is very relevant. And I want to appreciate our resource person for the time and for obliging us, for allowing us to invite him to take his time. And I want to appreciate him because actually I did flyers, I promoted this program on different platforms, and up till this morning, people are saying, okay, you have called me and things like that. So I don't know even among pastors. So I want to believe maybe they are engaged and things like that. But it has not. The only area where we'll have had much more engagement is when we have all of them also engaging you and making their contributions. But we know the ordinary we have done. God, who has all the powers, will put his extra on it, and it will bless many lives. And it will be a kind of eye opener to many, and it will work for the expansion of the kingdom of God. It will work for a better denominational understanding and ministerial recognition and understanding, even in our denomination, and that ultimately the kingdom of God will keep increasing and expanding on the life of men. So I want you to say your final word before we call it a wrap.
Thank you so much. I want to appreciate you for this opportunity to share together, to interact together on the book. I know that it will still give opportunity for people to know more about about Bi-vocational Pastoral Ministry and the history and the practice of the ministry in the Nigerian Baptist Convention. And I believe that our convention leaders, as the convention leaders, they have a lot of things to do so that this ministry can actually work. And all of us, as we all the stakeholders, we must all work together. The church members, sometimes it's not even about the pastors now, sometimes the church members. So all of us must be equipped with appropriate, correct knowledge about it, and then we try to do our best so that the kingdom of our Father can expand. It's all about kingdom expansion. It's all about kingdom expansion. And that should be our priority. It should be our priority. Whichever capacity you are functioning, it should be about let this kingdom expand. And everything that can make it to expand, we must embrace it, and then we must make it work. And I pray that the Lord is going to help us. Thank you once again for the opportunity to share with the general public on the book. And I hope that by the time the second volume is out also, it will build on this first volume so that we can have a robust understanding about it. God bless you, and God bless every individual that is listening.
Yes.
Or that.
Yes, thank you. It's like the saying that I look for a man among them. So I'm only a full-time pastor. God has put you out to be speaking for Bi-vocational Pastoral Ministry. It's like God is giving you a great assignment, because the way you are going now, let me tell you, somebody was chatting with me. Somebody was chatting with me when he saw the flyer, and he was from another denomination. He said, is it only for Baptists that should participate? I said, any other person can also benefit now. You can also participate. So I know that it will be a model. For, some people are called to start their own ministry, and they don't know how to go about it. Your materials like this can be of help to such people beyond a denominational coloration. So I want to encourage you that you should do well to complete that which you have started, and I pray God will give you grace and all the resources that you will need to make it something that you hand over to us like this. So I want to appreciate you once again. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
In regards to all our people over there. And for those of us that will watch the video, I will send the link where we watch it to us, and I will forward it to also our resource person to share it with any other person. Actually, it's a very long video. It's over 3 hours now, but it's worth it, and it's very enriching. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, thank you. Bye-bye, sir.
Bye-bye.
Amen, sir.
Yes.